Hello and welcome to another edition of the One Team We Agree On. I'm Jillian.
And I'm Kyle. How are you doing today?
I'm December teacher tired, but I'm good.
It's a busy time of year. The holidays. I know for me personally, I'm getting ready for planning all my 2024 programs. So yeah. But we got a fun episode on tap today. We are going to review our highlights, our lowlights, and all points in between of the 2023 Philadelphia Union season. So this is going to be a fun episode.
Yes. Yes, it's hard to believe that man, we've been at this over a year now and
It's been
wow,
fun.
it has been.
It's been a real good time.
Yeah.
Spending time with you, and I'm just thankful you, me, and everybody else made it through this season.
It's a very long season.
And I mean, still got the MLS Cup game this Saturday, but it's been a long season. So, on today's show, we're going to recap some of the roster moves. Jim and Ernst had a postseason press conference yesterday, so we're going to talk a little bit about that. And then we are going to dive in to the predictions that we made way back. When was it? January?
Yeah, I think it was January.
Or like
it was either January or early February.
Early February. And just give some context on how we did. So, but before we get started, what are we wearing today?
I'm wearing my Beat the Bull t-shirt that I got from the Bull Pinata, basically, that was beaten for the Red Bull game, the rivalry night one.
And I'm wearing the dupe shirt that was from the same night.
Yes.
Granted, I did not know she was going to wear this, but I really like this shirt. This is one of my favorite Sons of Ben purchases I've made, because I grew up playing Doom. So this is a really cool shirt. And yeah, like, this is really cool, and that was a really good night. That was actually spoiler alert, that's one of my favorite nights.
That was a lot of fun.
That was a good night.
That's also the night that, like, I think a million of my students were at the game.
Yes.
Yeah, I ran to like a ton of them at the tailgate, which was always interesting.
But
it was nice to see him.
But anyway, before we get started, make sure to subscribe, like, follow, and please interact with us. We love hearing from you. You can follow us on Twitter at TOTWAG, on Facebook, Instagram at The One Team We Agree On, and we are on Apple, Google, Spotify, and podcasts, as well as YouTube. So we're going to have some comments. Please feel free to comment. Like, we're going to have a fun show on tap here. So let's get into it. First topic of the evening. The Union announced roster moves for the end of the year. And I wouldn't say there may be one or two, but let's go through them. First, on loan, Richard Odata. Question: do you think he will be brought back?
As much as I want him to be brought back, I feel like he's not going to be, because he's been doing so well over in Europe where he's at.
I mean, he's got 4 goals this season.
Yeah, I knew that he could do well. Like, I was always high on him. I mean, it sucks. It's the only time we got to see him play was in that friendly against Pachuca.
Which he played very well.
He played very well in, and that game, like, wasn't even televised really. So, like, a lot of people didn't even get to see it, like, if they weren't at the game. And a lot of people weren't at the game because, as I recall, it was pretty empty in the River End where we were.
It was. That was the first time we met Jimmy King, though. Shout out to Jimmy.
Was it?
Yes, that was the first time we had interacted with him, but
right.
Shout out to you, Jimmy, for listening.
Yeah.
But no, I know he has a buy option. Yeah, I mean, as well as he's playing, you have to think they're probably gonna pick him up. So I mean, we'll see what happens. But yeah, that was one I kind of wish we still had him on the roster, especially with the potential congestion in international cups again. This is somebody now. Of course, he's on the Kenyan national team, so he might be somebody else that would be called up. But you never know. I mean, maybe he doesn't make a window. Jose's called up, Jesus is called up. You know, it'd be nice to have some options there.
Mhm.
Anton Sorensen,
Not surprised.
not surprised
He
either
just didn't
that.
really pan out.
No, remember back, I guess it was like he made the roster for the Eastern Conference Finals in 2021 because remember they needed somebody, but he didn't play in the game.
Right.
And then they signed him. He was a very intriguing prospect, and
Mhm.
he was in U2 and really just never, like you said, panned out. And it's a shame. He had
Mhm.
early on some really good qualities. He was on some of the youth national teams.
Yeah.
So, I mean, maybe change the scenery.
Yeah.
Maybe, you know, he's a USL product. I mean, I think the latter is probably more, maybe he goes to USL and
Mhm.
and figures it out and maybe makes his way back into MLS. You know, we wish him the best.
Yeah. Hopefully, you find something that's a good fit.
Yeah.
And that he has success there.
The one that I'm not shocked about either, but it's kind of a sad end to
I
a
know.
story is Joe Bendick. I mean, again, I mean, he didn't have the greatest season.
He didn't light the world on fire.
No, he didn't.
Um,
But
he
but at the same time, I'm not shocked by this move.
not at all.
But I think for me personally, like he was such a good like player to have on the team that
Right.
you kind of lose that. But again, at the end of the day, this is business. I would say that, and I put this on social media, I would be shocked if he didn't eventually get into coaching. And maybe, you know, he gets in with the Union Academy under Phil.
Mhm.
And that'd be a great way for him to start his coaching career.
Yeah. Do you think he's done? Do you think he's not going to play anymore?
I think he's going to sniff out the market.
Right.
What I would hate to see happen is he go to like USL and just like at this point, I mean, if he can make it get another as a backup, good for him.
Yeah. I mean, you can't blame him if he
No,
wants to
no,
keep playing.
no.
If he
He
feels
only
like he
got
still has it and he finds a good fit, it's like go for it. Same time, it's like, yeah, he has kids and I don't know if at this point he wants to uproot them or not. I guess that will to be determined. But it would be cool to see him get into coaching though.
it would. I think he'd have a very successful career in that.
Yeah.
But anyway, and then of course both Kai and Ali were out of contract. Which we knew, but they did mention talks were ongoing. And that's always, I mean, I think it was Jose today said, well, they said the same thing about Corey Burke, which is true. So we don't know what's going to
And
happen
Corey took
there.
the money.
Yeah. But I guess my question is outside of maybe, I don't know if there was anybody, but who that was picked up were you shocked by?
Joaquin Torres.
Really? No, I think that was mine too. I think a lot of us talking we thought
He didn't really find his place with the team, it seemed.
right.
After that first ooh and eyeing and that,
Yeah.
that first game where, oh man, he was incredible. Then just never really duplicated what we saw. And that's a shame because I know like Jim was basically saying that he apologized to Joaquin, it's like he should have trained him better.
Mhm.
And that Joaquin has a lot of good he's got a lot of talent that wasn't able to be realized this year basically.
Right.
And I think he would like to see what he could do at this point, but also I feel like they could definitely end up selling him somewhere too.
I think the latter is very possible. Again, when I was at that training,
The media day.
Yeah, before media day. I was watching him running around the field, making passes. I was like, okay, I can see what he was, what he is, I should say. And then he came in to the New England game and played very well.
I thought he did too.
So maybe Jim's kind of started to turn a corner, like, okay, maybe we give him a little bit of a shot. I don't think so, but
Hmm.
who knows? But yeah, the other one for me was maybe Holden Trent. And the only reason I thought was
Because Andrew Rick coming up.
Andrew Rick and Brooks Thompson did very
Yeah.
well. I mean, we got this young people. Maybe it was just a thing to see how a safeguard, but I think maybe they want to kind of just bring him on, and maybe they have a plethora of players. Maybe Andrew Rick, I hate to say this, maybe never plays for the Union because he starts taking off and somebody else wants to buy him for oodles and oodles of money.
Oodles of noodles of money.
I said oodles and
I
noodles.
know.
But anyway, oodles of money.
Yes.
Who knows? But Union are in a good situation there with some developmental pieces. That's
Yeah.
for sure. So am I shocked that he's still in the roster? No, I think they still want to give him a little bit of time.
Yeah.
So and then moving on, yesterday, Jim and Ernst met with the press, which we covered on our Twitter account. But just a few things I want to talk about before we get to the fun stuff. Couple quotes here. First off, Jim said the difference in between 2023 and 2022 was 2022 everybody hit their max. Like everybody was clicking on all cylinders, everybody was playing their best. And then in 2023, not everybody was hitting their max and not everybody was hitting at the same time. Said strong campaign, but we came up short. How you feel about that comment?
I mean, yeah. No, I mean, I agree on that.
I think this goes back to what you, me, Buddy Todd Lewis, and a couple others that we talked to mentioned. I mean, a lot of the Union players last year had career years.
It was going to be really hard to even come close to last year because it was such a career year for so many of them. I mean, and that goal differential and everything, it was just going to be hard to duplicate. And with that many games that they had to play through.
Correct. And, even going in this season, we said like, maybe, I wrote that silly article. Well, not a silly article, but I did do some data, but that was the case where the data didn't transfer like preseason goals equate to regular season goals. But I think a lot of us thought like this year was going to be very hard to replicate. I will say this. I think it was a strong season, but as we get into this, the bar has been risen so high now. The expectations are high.
Right.
That above average, even pretty good, just isn't cutting it right now. And we'll get into that a little bit later. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I think the analogy was made. I forget if it was with Kevin Kincaid on It's Always Soccer, but the talk about it's kind of like what the Phillies went through. They had that core group of players, won the World Series, and then we just, came up short the year after that. And it's just like, it kind of feels like that, I don't know. My question is, are we gonna, continue this success we've had? Like we've been pretty strong the last couple of years. Is that going to continue, or was this year kind of us going more down? Are we kind of on the downward track?
Let's talk about that at the end.
Yeah,
we'll get back to that because I do have something about that.
Yeah.
All right. So that was the first thing. Ernst mentioned the travel injuries across the league, and he went off on this. And by the way, you can listen to this is on the Union's website.
Yep, if you under their videos, it is on there.
Yep. That the front office, like GM, head coaches, and players are seeing this due to physical demands this season. But of course, said the MLS isn't listening. All right.
hmm
Are you shocked by that?
Well, I think it's the fact that he came out and just said that. Yeah. I mean, we all knew that. We all kind of got that vibe.
Oh, I think I kind of sat there. I'm like, all right, all
Yeah.
right, all right.
I'm glad he came out and
I'm
said that,
I am.
honestly.
Is anything going to change? No.
No, but we all know it. Like this season, Leagues Cup and all the different stuff. It's like it's a money grab, and the players and everybody be damned, that they're gonna have to do all these games and everything.
But if we're talking about Union's success, then we need to talk about a team right now in the MLS Cup,
hmm
LAFC.
That's the thing.
That's the thing. That is the thing now that, and I told you this before the game on Saturday. I said, if they win this game against Houston, the narrative of the too many games is out the window, because you can make an argument. They've traveled more. They've played more games now. You can't use that excuse anymore.
But what about the fact that with the money they've spent, the player,
I
their
get
strength
that.
on their bench, and yeah,
I get that. But that is ownership.
and let's face
I'm
it,
not going
Danny
there.
Belonga is just a beast.
Well, he is.
They have several players
That comes to a
very
point,
strong.
and I want to say something about that. And this ties into it, is, they talked a lot there about the foundation of the team, the club, building and developing players.
Mhm.
All right. Great. I personally like that, because it's kind of similar to what you and I believe as coaches in swimming,
That's
developing swimmers,
Yeah.
and that's how you sustain. I mean, the club we're at right now is famous for developing and putting people even in the Olympics.
Yeah,
I
like
mean,
our homegrowns, like one of my, if you call it a homegrown, just broke all these records last weekend at a big meet. Like he'd come up through us and
yeah, I mean,
just like went up, and that's awesome to see. And we want to see our homegrown players making it big, and you got to give them a chance and everything for sure. We want to develop that.
I do think you can have that foundation, that core values, and maybe spend a little bit more. That's a fair point, because I see your people. I mean, heck, we had
we have both things?
We had Union Hawk. I mean, shout out to Union Hawk on our timeline, like saying, like, come on, spend cheap. People are like, you cheap, when I tweeted that comment. And shout out to everybody there. I get that. I feel that. My argument's going to be, all of a sudden, and I've seen this with college programs. I've seen this in other programs. They start to lose their identity, and they just start to spend.
It needs to be a balance.
There needs to be a balance. That is all I'm going to say on that topic. Do I agree we need to spend more? If I hear people saying, oh man, we're cheap, I get it.
We could definitely spend a little bit more and get some talent, but at the same time, also we've seen teams that have these ginormous payrolls and everything,
They're collecting wins,
and they're collecting wins. It's like you look at the teams that didn't even make the playoffs, and some of the big players,
and that's just it. Money doesn't equal success. Culture, belief, foundations do. And I still do believe that Union have a very successful culture. Maybe I'm naive, but that's my point. Do I agree with, man, maybe we could spend a little bit more? Sure. That's fair.
But I could see us get like, some veteran talent there. Sure. Yes, I would. But same time, I like that we develop these homegrown players. I think we have some, we got some kids coming up through that could do very well for sure. But again, it needs to be a balance. Okay. Two things can be true.
Yes, they can. One other note, backup goalkeeper for next year. They want to get somebody, which brought up former Union goalkeeper, which for some people, if we mention his name, might not go over well. But John McCarthy.
Lord Helmet.
Yes, Lord Helmet. There you go. There was some chatter yesterday on social media.
how much crap he heard from the river end though when
Oh, we were
LJ
there.
was there.
Oh man, we were
Yes,
right.
yes, Kyle was actually in the river. Were you in the river end with
Oh,
me?
yeah, we were having fun in the river and
Yeah.
with John.
I mean,
And
okay.
he was giving it right to us. He was having
He
fun
knows
too.
what
He
Hey,
was having a good
he
time.
knows
I
what's
mean,
up.
yeah, he knows what's
You
up.
know,
So at the end of the day, he understands it.
I mean, yes, we hate you for last
Last year.
year. Okay, we get it. I mean, good for you, John. But now if you come back and be our backup goalie, you'll be in our good graces again, I guess. But
So I think the plan there is, and again, I am speculating here.
Mhm.
I think with Andre number of games, Andre
Mhm.
international games, with Jamaica. I think they want to get somebody where
Who's experienced
yes,
and we can like rely on, like someone who we can actually have some confidence in.
somebody that literally can come in
Mhm.
and let's say Andre's groin, because you know how groins are,
Yeah,
gets a
can be
knock,
tricky.
gets a knock. Maybe Jim now says, "Oh man," like let's say they're playing Cincinnati. Rather than putting Andre out there at 80% and maybe risking further, not that he would do that, but maybe saying, "Hey, Andre, you need to take a rest,
Mhm.
take the night off,
It would be
and
nice to have that flexibility for sure.
have that confidence in that."
Yeah,
I
because I
think
did not have that with Joe Bendick.
no, I didn't.
I mean, Joe Bendick was serviceable for maybe like a game to fill in or something, um, but yeah, he he yeah, love you, Joe, but didn't have quite what we needed there. So
And then Jim also mentioned about mapping out the season. I thought that was interesting. He said he could have done a better job of mapping out the season. As we know, Jim always
yeah,
says, "Want to win every game, every trophy,
yeah,
yada yada yada." Of
that was
course.
ambitious,
Well, but I
but
get
I get it.
as the coach, you want to win every
Of course,
competition, but it's not doable now with all these
right.
games. So you have to pick and choose. And he said he needs to better map out. So my question is next year, where I'm really looking at his, coaching prowess is how are you going to navigate? Now he brought up like playing in like Florida and then having to go out
Mhm.
to like Vancouver. That's a haul. All the way from Orlando to Vancouver. I forget
Right,
what the analogy was.
right,
But
yeah.
how is he going to map that out?
Well, I think now that they have the experience of, because it was new with having Leagues Cup and having all these different games, to play through this year, I think they'll have a better idea next season of how to handle it. Um,
Right.
I definitely think that is going to improve. Uh, Perhaps Jim will actually rotate a little bit better. And of course, that's also going to depend on having good depth.
And that's the question. And that is the number one question right now going in this. Will we have depth? Time will tell. Developments on Ale and Kai.
Yeah. I, for one, would love to see Ali come back. And we saw him coming off the bench in Leagues Cup, and he did great. One good thing, I mean, that Miami game sucked, but I'll tell you what, Ali came in and he
Mhm.
scored a goal and he did well. It's just he brings that veteran leadership. The guy just lives and breathes Philly, and we love him for it. Okay. I mean, if we can bring him in at least for the leadership, and if he is okay with being more of a sub in the game
Mhm.
and playing that role, and I'd love to see him be able to finish it out on his terms, like actually have
Right.
like a farewell tour sort of.
Right. And I think that's you hit the nail on the head. We had talked about, I think it was on Cross the Pitch, or maybe it was with Todd, about just having that transition.
Yeah.
You like that transition period. Like, okay, you're not the captain anymore, but using some of that valuable leadership, kind of that
Right.
transition piece. And you're right, that 20 minutes in every game coming off the bench, there's some depth. I mean, he's gonna come in and make the games better.
Yeah.
Um, would I be happy if we brought him back? Sure.
Yeah.
On the Kai front, the union did make an offer.
Yes.
and according to Ernst, it was appreciated, and
Mhm.
of course there is a deadline they're going to get back. I thought, and then we've been seeing some other things. Adherence. I feel like
Mm,
this is an interesting one because of what all has transpired.
right. Yeah. So, yeah, this is an interesting thing. Of course, Ernst came out and said in the presser that basically, well, in Europe, this sort of thing doesn't happen where the aggressor isn't punished. Like basically, he's saying, well, Bobby Wood said something too that set Kai off, and he got nothing. Now, of course, this is all like we don't know exactly what was said. We don't know any of that. It's really what Bobby says versus what Kai says, and there is no one else really knows for sure. But it sounds like Ernst made it sound like he knows exactly. He said, because he knows German and everything. He knows what was said and blah blah blah. And um, there's no excuse in what Kai said. Absolutely not.
No,
There's no room for that. And the punishment is definitely deserved. Um, the whole Bobby thing, of course, if he did say something that's really messed up, um, I don't know if we'll, find out what actually was said from both of them, but I'm guessing, for Kai to really be set off like that too, I'm sure it wasn't nice what was said.
it's an unfortunate.
The whole thing is
Unfortunate.
unfortunate, especially because how quickly everything got flipped from the whole pay Kai thing to now he's like,
Mhm.
persona non grata. It's just like, um, it's unfortunate because of how good he's been for the team. Now, that being said, if he does get brought back, it'll be interesting to see how people react to that. Now, I I think that obviously, yeah, the punishment is warranted. And I think that, like I said, there's no room for any of that. I also believe in, forgiveness. I believe in people that people can learn and they can grow.
Right.
And, you know, um, as a Christian, I do believe in, that forgiveness very strongly.
Yeah.
You know,
I
I mean,
think
you don't, everybody has their faults now. Um, but it's the thing, if you do something like that, can you learn? Can you grow? Can you better yourself?
right.
Okay. I
And
Yeah.
so no, I agree with you there. I think for me, you know, I'd be curious to see what happens with Ale and Kai moving forward. I mean, I hate to say this, Union are a better team with Kai on the field.
They
It's
are.
it's the truth. So if he comes back, that's I mean,
Mhm.
everything else off the table, it's a huge boost.
Yeah.
Having said that, I think, if he does come back, um, you know, I think it's gonna take some time. It's gonna take some time.
There would definitely be fans who are not happy about it.
No, I
And I
understand.
understand that. I respect that.
Yeah.
I think it's very telling the fact that Kai was training with the team
Yeah.
and, you know, that it seemed like that his teammates and the coaches, they were, behind him. And not necessarily that they condone any of that, but that they, um, they were forgiving and that they, had his back. Okay. So I honestly think, considering especially some people like Damian Lowe have been,
It
kind of
is an
within
interesting thought.
in that situation. So I just find that whole situation interesting that, because he wasn't like ostracized, it seemed by seemed. Now we don't know what happened behind
We
closed
don't,
doors and all that.
so we're speculating,
Yeah,
and
and I don't want to speculate too much, but I'm just saying, that's just interesting.
it is,
Seeing
it
how
is. But
that
again, I guess I'm getting back to my original point is, if these two come back, does it make the union better?
I think skill wise, absolutely.
I do too.
I do.
I do
Yeah.
too. And I think with Ali coming back, it's great for the
Oh my
locker room.
gosh, huge. Like I really do want to see Ali come back. I absolutely
So,
do.
overall thoughts on the press conference? I think we're at a point right now where the union got a lot of decisions to make in the off season, and it'll be interesting to see how it play out.
Yeah.
I do. But anyway, So enough of that. Let's go have some fun. I'm going to share the screen here, and we are going to go into um, our preseason predictions. So
Right.
this is the preseason predictions we shared back in January, February. My picks were there, actual results on the right. So coming out of the gate, actually, I remember everybody's like, "Oh my gosh, what's going on?" I mean, we go win 4-1. I was like, that game was kind of lackluster. It
Right.
wasn't great. We get smacked in the mouth in Miami. We draw on we get the draw on Alianza. Come back when 1-0. Andre Bake's injured. And then we go to Montreal, lose that game in the death, lose our first game at home against Orlando, have that sleeper against KC,
Yeah, wasn't that your yeah.
lost in Cincinnati after beat Atlas, but then lost, then drew in Atlas, drew in a bad game in Chicago, beat, it was just like that first half of the year.
Oh, there how about that? We'll never forget that Toronto win.
Yeah,
How about that? The Uahati, yes, with the
that was,
awesome Parley jerseys in the rain.
and then we were all like, "Oh my gosh, we are gonna steamroll LAFC," and then we gave up a
Hmm.
goal last minute, and then we get blown out next day, and then we bounce back against the win Red Bulls, and
Mhm.
then we lose the Open Cup, fly out to Minnesota, come back, fly back to Colorado. Had a decent comeback there.
Colorado was a good time.
Snooze fest in DC.
Yeah, well, oh, you mean,
Yeah, that
at home
home.
against
Yeah,
DC.
at home against
Yeah,
DC. That
yeah.
was an
Let's
awful
say at
game.
DC it wasn't,
That
but
was an awful Wednesday night game.
yeah, it was. It
That
really
was a game
was.
where like, oh, there's something wrong here.
Yeah.
And then, Carlos Hill gets sent off. We win in New England. That was a fun night. And then the early one was at NYCFC, we win. And it was like, okay, maybe we're bouncing back,
That one was really memorable because that's when Julian had those 2 quick goals.
Yeah, and I was like, okay, there it is. There it is. Maybe this is just starting to click. We're out of Champions League, no US Open Cup. All right, we're focusing on the league right now and we're clicking. And then we bounce back with a win at home versus Charlotte. Bounce back win. Yeah, I mean, a win versus a they were trying to play for the Canadian Championship, I
Yeah.
guess what it is. And Montreal. And so, but for looking at that first third, because I divided this, if anybody can see it, I have a yellow line. What were some of the things outside of the UA hat trick, and the win at NYCFC? What were some other things memories from that area?
Well, I think for me, a big one was I think at Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
If you recall, we had 3 in the back, that one.
Mm-hmm.
And Kai had that goal, and
Mm-hmm.
we had been down 1-0, and we came back and won that. And of course, there's that whole melee at the end of the game.
Oh, dude, that was wild.
It was wild. Jesus getting the red card and all that stuff.
Yeah, he
And
put hands to the throat.
yeah, well, what's his face that shoved Andre into the wall should have. Yeah. Anyway,
Barrios.
but I mean, I honestly had a lot of fun at that game. So
Same here. I thought that was a good one. The I'll tell you, the game outside of the Toronto game that was really interesting for me was the New England game before that, because that Saturday game, Carlos Hill gets sent off, and New England's not the same team without him. And for whatever reason, we just started going at him. And that was a game after that disappointing draw with DC. I'm still like, okay, we've gotten points in our last few games.
yeah.
I mean, we hadn't lost in Cincinnati, and that was a 1-0 loss. I thought we were really getting steam up. So And then we went, so then looking ahead, Montreal, and then we kind of have that Saturday in June. We kind of fall asleep against San Jose. That's a West Coast game. So what?
Yeah, that as I recall, Damien had like a really good header for a goal, and but other than that, we were just like,
yeah. And
yeah.
then we drew in Orlando, which I was like, okay. And then before
Oh, but the game at Orlando was not just a ho hum game. Let's not forget
oh,
the draw against Orlando at Orlando,
I'm trying to remember it.
the Brujo Screamer.
Oh yes, yes.
That was one of my favorite moments of the
Oh
whole
my gosh, I
season.
can't. Man, it is.
Kyle, come on now.
It's been a long
My
time.
favorite, like one of my favorite moments of the season.
It
We're here.
was.
We're here at our house, and I'm watching. I'm in our living room watching it. I start screaming at the
Is that-
TV. Didn't you go downstairs and you like did and you missed it, and I'm here like screaming
I
at the
was
TV.
mad. Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Man.
Kyle was mad because like the game was almost over, and like, and I start like screaming to him like, "Oh my god, he did it! He did it!" That's so smart. Like I don't know. Like honestly, yeah, I was like screaming hard at that. That was so exciting.
Uh, you know, we beat Miami before the Messi
Yeah.
excitement, and that wasn't even the game.
Hmm.
And then we kind of just went like at Atlanta, and then at LA. Both even against LA, it was like that game was like, ew.
Let's all remember how bad Miami was when we played them like that last home, that regular
Yeah.
home game, like right before all the Messi mania. Like, yeah.
And then it was at Nashville.
that
That
for a
was
second.
Nashville was the one because we're like, oh my gosh. We're
Okay,
gonna lose
Nashville,
3 in a
yeah.
row.
And we had Bendick in goal.
And then we beat it, and they were like, it was like they were just they couldn't hit the broadside of the barn. Like they
honestly, I think the crossbar had more saves than Joe Bendick did.
they said, we come back, beat NYCFC, and head into Leagues Cup. Everybody's happy go lucky, and Leagues Cup was fun.
Yes, Leagues Cup,
It was fun.
We were all just like, man, I'm not excited for it. But then honestly, I had a lot of fun.
We got into it.
Yeah.
So, and then of course the game I wasn't at, you were at, was at DC, 3-1 win, and everybody's like jumping up and down. I mean, look at all this whole section of season.
DC,
we're like outside of those 3 losses, maybe that stinker in LA.
Yeah, where were you for the DC one?
I was at the Live Strong Gala.
Oh, right. So yeah, I was at that, and that was one that went to PKs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was stressful.
No. I'm talking about at DC.
Oh, at DC. That's right. I'm gonna say the one in Leagues Cup was.
No, I was at the one.
Oh yeah, the one. Oh yeah, at DC, and I was there. Yeah, that was a good time.
So out of these, any games that stick out to you? Fun times?
Honestly, now of course, we were not at the Querétaro or Miami, the second Querétaro one, I should say, and Miami one in Leagues Cup. But I would say like the Leagues Cup games were fun.
It was cool seeing Monterrey, Querétaro, and Tijuana in person.
Yeah. Also, I had a great time at the DC game, and road wins. It's always a good time. And I had a great time going down with friends, and pulling me and I kind of capoing that thing.
That was fun time.
It's fun.
Yeah. I think for me being up the press box for like, the Querétaro and the Red Bulls game, that was a fun time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Red Bull game where I got this shirt was a good time, and beating the Bull and the whole rivalry night thing. So that was pretty fun.
And then going down, coming off of that, we lose at Toronto. And then this is a part of the season where I just think we'll start coming off, we're all excited. Then we go play against one of the worst teams in the league, get embarrassed.
Mm-hmm.
Then we come back, beat Red Bull. All right, great. And then it was
the first half of the Cincinnati game was good.
And that's when you're thinking, okay, if we can, and then they don't.
And then the fans in the River End start chanting overrated as Cincinnati's heading into the locker room, and that pissed me off.
And then we go on a 5-game draw streak where it's just like, well, okay, we hit that last year, but this is way too late in the season. bounced back with a win against Atlanta on Wednesday night where you're feeling okay, that's good. And then you hit that snooze fest against, you know, Nashville, where you kind of got the momentum back, and it's like, okay,
Yeah.
that didn't work. And then you go a decision day in New England, you lose that, which we had. So I mean, this is where you just were like, we kind of limped into the season after Leagues Cup. I just felt
Just
like
we dropped points at the end there, and that would have put us in a better position.
I think that's the problem because
Yeah.
then we look good against New England in playoffs.
Because here's the thing I'm thinking, we get a better
Mhm.
position. Who knows? Maybe we get through farther. This weekend we could have been hosting a rematch of last year's MLS Cup at
We
the
could
Zoo.
have,
We could have
but
been.
shoulda, coulda, woulda.
But yeah, it's just that's a I guess topic for a what if episode.
Speaking of which, this is coming soon, but that's another topic for another day. So I just wrote this down here at the bottom. All competitions in 2023. Through 25 games, Union were 11 wins, 7 draws, 7 losses. And then the final 26 games, Union were 13 wins,
Mhm.
7 wins, 7 draws. So
It's pretty even.
it was pretty even, but when you look at how the schedule played out,
Yeah.
and this is every competition, by the way, folks,
Right.
it's just sort of disappointing. I mean, and
We
then
expected a little more.
we did. And in my projection, I had the Union at 54 points at 14, 12, and 8. Lots of draws. Their actual results 15, 10, and 9. So okay,
Not far off.
not far off and 1 point over.
Mm-hmm.
And that was because I figured all these competitions we were going. So and I'll show you why in a second. So that's the regular season. My actual Shield finish, it has finishing 5th. We finished
Yes.
5th. Regular season Eastern Conference, I has finishing 3rd. We finished 4th. Leagues Cup, I had some quarterfinals. We actually made the 3rd place game. Because I didn't think we were going to take it too seriously. US Cup, I had us going to semifinals. So yeah, we got bounced. MLS Cup, I had us going to finals. Eastern Conference semis, and CCL has gone to the finals, made it to semifinals. Now, we did get CCC berth for this coming
Mhm.
season.
My projections were off too because I thought we were going to finish higher. But I think didn't you call like at the beginning of the season? You called that since you would win the
Well,
Eastern
we'll get
Conference.
that in a
Yeah.
second. But I mean, okay, this is
Yeah.
all these games. Okay, we were competitive some, made semifinals in a couple.
Yeah.
Cool. We get CCL berth. The problem here in awards is there is a lack of trophies for me.
Yeah. And that's what people are really looking for. It's like, okay, yeah, you had a good season, but what do you have to show for it?
Memories.
Yes.
I
All the
mean,
friends we made along the way.
I mean, I have memories.
Memories too. But of
But
course, that's
but
not good enough for,
I know, but I mean, it shouldn't be. You
No.
need to have hardware.
You do. You do.
Top 3 scores I had Gazdag, Ua, and Kronz. This is just league only, you
Right.
know. And again, you look at this. I mean, Ua had double digits with all competitions,
Right.
and Gazdag, Kronz had decent years, and lots.
Did we see Martinez having 3 goals this year?
Yes, no, we did not.
But I'm so happy for it.
And I think the one thing you did see this year is a lot more distribution during the regular
was.
season with goal scores, which is great. But again, you rely on those top 3. And last year they hit historic numbers.
Mhm.
This year, 34 goals in regular MLS regular season competition.
Yeah.
Not good.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, not good.
not
No.
but again, and then we look at breakout stars and
All right, Kyle, you're gonna get a lot of crap now.
Okay.
Yes. Kyle, what was your projection for breakout star this year? Because
Well, my
people are
top
listening
3.
to it. Let's find the folks who you said was gonna be back, huh?
I had 2 breakout stars. I had number 3 was Joaquin Torres. That was not good. Jack McGlynn, which
He did well.
he did okay. I don't know if he took the leap I expected.
Yeah, he played a very good game though to cap off the season. I will say
Oh,
he was
absolutely. He was
definitely one of the best in the Eastern Conference semis. A bright spot there for sure. He definitely, he's like 20 years old. He's, coming along. And was he like absolutely straight fire this season? Maybe not, but he definitely is showing a lot of growth, and I thought he did fairly well. So you weren't totally off on that one.
No. And then Olivier Bazo.
Yeah. Had such high hopes there. You had
I
such high
said top
hopes.
5 back. But hey, Jim said best in the year. It was consistency. But let's be
You
honest.
picked the wrong
Every
back.
time I had
Break
hope
out.
on this guy, he's hurt me. So
Mhm.
I don't know what his future is, but with the club, but we'll see. I mean,
Well, to be fair, I remember at the beginning of the season saying, I thought, Perea would, do
yeah,
uppers, but he didn't. Like when we actually saw him play, he did pretty good. But yeah,
and then actual projections. So I actually number 3, Chris, I have it was a tie between McGlynn and Chris Donovan. Like Chris Donovan had some.
he showed a lot of growth.
He showed a lot of growth.
He's showing
Now,
like
it
that's
was
kind
like
of
a
what Jim's
golf.
telling him.
It was like a golf
He
clap.
had some big moments.
But he did have.
Let's not lie.
Okay,
He had some big moments.
he did, but I'd like to see big moments and some more goals. So let's see how this year goes. Okay, I'm giving him the benefit.
He's on the right path.
He's on the right path. Nate Harrell.
I thought he did fantastic this season. I mean, he has some moments where it's very bad,
very bad,
but
very bad.
And Jim called him out on it too.
But yeah, I mean, getting some call ups.
But he's got some good stuff.
He grew, and then Jesus Bueno. I mean,
we've always been high on Jesus Bueno,
even for the fact that maybe he didn't play enough last year. He showed a lot.
And he really got the shine during Leagues Cup.
He did.
He was like one of the best things about Leagues Cup, just seeing him break out and have a chance there, and just memories, and seeing him score, seeing him do the PK, like all those things. He was awesome. It was just so good to see for him, because we've been saying like for like a couple years, like, oh, we want to see Jesus Bueno, see what he can do.
Right.
We finally did this year.
There we did.
Yeah.
So, final thing. Eastern Conference standings. Yes, I did have Cincy winning the Eastern Conference. I had the Union finishing 3rd, Orlando finishing 4th.
Mm-hmm.
So when you look at that standings,
well, you were way off with New England.
I was.
And Columbus.
I was.
And NYCFC did not even make the playoffs. Or Toronto. But you figured Cincy, right? And you weren't far off with us.
And Orlando.
There. Yeah. Rightly guessed that Chicago and Montreal and DC and Miami, yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, it wasn't bad. Anybody from that list that you were surprised that didn't do well or maybe overperformed?
I thought that like it wasn't too far off. I honestly thought maybe Red Bulls would be a little better than they were, but you never know with them. But I mean, they do have some good talent, John Tolkien and those guys, but also I was really glad to see them not do well. But I think for me, the way Columbus came on, really surprised me. Like
Columbus and Atlanta,
the fact that they might win it all this weekend.
Yeah, and Atlanta, just the
Atlanta really started to come on too.
Yeah, they had the firepower this year, and when I put this together, it's like, okay,
you hear about Almada.
Yeah, now he might be gone.
Yeah.
And also, Yakimakis might be going back to Europe now. Probably not early in the season, but he's always been.
Yeah.
So, anyway, bottom line, and I guess bottom line, in your opinion, was this season successful?
I don't know if success is the right word. Like, it's hard to say it was success when we didn't reach our goals that we wanted. We didn't even get to say the conference,
No,
finals.
yeah.
So I feel like we felt short of being successful. We did a lot of things well, we just came up short.
Um,
Honestly, was I disappointed in the outcome? Yeah.
yeah, I'm with you there. I was
I
disappointed,
thought maybe we could win a trophy of some sort this year.
even if it was like a paperweight.
Like if we, could have gotten Leagues Cup or, you know, what
I I think for me it was just there was a lot of just weird things that happened during the year, injuries and just
and
it
that's
was
just how it goes. Like
it does,
the
but
things you
it was
can't predict.
just things didn't bounce the way for the Union this year,
I mean,
and
it's like if Messi doesn't come to Miami, hey, maybe we win Leagues Cup
maybe
because,
we do. I
the
mean,
salary push. There's a lot of the what ifs, but
it is.
it is what it
I
is.
think for me it was a disappointment only in the fact that we didn't get some hardware.
Out of like how, we played like definitely we were one of the top tier teams there and
I think
we
from
were
consistency
just to get
standpoint,
nothing. Yeah.
that was great. Like, and I think that was the frustrating point. And if you're out there, you're feeling frustrated, that's fine too. I mean, we were consistent. We played well. Were we as best as we were maybe some other years? Probably not. But there were good things that happened during the year. But it's disappointing that we didn't get a cup or a trophy or something.
Yeah, just there's nothing to show for it, which is a bummer.
Exactly. And I think so that brings me to
That's how
my
I feel about the Phillies this year too. It's like we were phenomenal and then we came up short and we got nothing out of it,
exactly.
So it's just that empty feeling that,
And I think that's what gets a lot of
yeah.
people. And then that's fair. If you're listening, that is fair. Because we feel the same way. Now, I think it was JP asked question. Do you feel this is an end of an era?
Um, no, I really hope it isn't, but do I feel it's in there? No, I don't think so. I think we still have enough pieces that, we can definitely have success. I think it's going to really depend though what happens in the off season here.
I and that's where I'm at. So Jacob, I think if maybe Kai or Ali, or maybe both, come back, then maybe you run it back some iterations, tweak some things. Maybe you salvage it, but at what cost? I
Yeah.
think that's the other thing. At what cost? Um, however, I wouldn't say it's the end of an era because yes, maybe it's the end of this chapter. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? You close that chapter, now a new chapter opens.
Right.
Now, is that the chapter that's going to go downhill, or is that the chapter that's going to go uphill?
Like what's going to happen with Carranza? We're going to summer. We're going to get someone else in,
Yeah,
that takes off. Like there's a lot of things that can happen.
I think that's a big thing. It's fair to say this is the end of an era, like in certain
With this
regard.
core group, I think
Yeah,
a little bit.
maybe.
I think we have most of them back, but
I
yeah.
just want to see. I want to see what the all seasons moves are before I say this is an end of an era. To answer your question, but there is a lot of maybe the train has sailed a little bit, but we'll see. Um, Speaking of end of eras, I think this is something that's very important for
Okay.
everybody. This is the end of the lucky jerseys.
I kind of feel like it's time.
Yeah.
I wore my Unity top as my lucky jersey for 1.5 seasons. Like I got it in the middle of the 2022 season, wore it all the way to the cup. Then we lost the I will remember you. No. And anyway, and my cat is on the other side of the room looking at me. Don't start singing Sarah McLachlan. It gives me shelter vibes. No, no, I think it's time. Plus, I got all these awesome other tops that I kind of want to rotate in there. But I do love that Unity top though. I mean, I'll still wear it. Just I think consistently, unless I find another jersey becomes lucky. But honestly, wearing it to, the season ending game again this year and we lost. And I was like, and for the record, Kyle was not with me. Okay. He was up in the press box. I'm wearing lucky jersey and we still lost. So the the
Kyle's banished.
Kyle's banished from 136 or from our supporter section, leading to us being more lucky. I don't think that holds water. So
Yeah, Drew.
sorry.
No, I just kidding. For me, yeah, I mean, I think it's time to start wearing some different jerseys again. But
plus I can't wait to see what we have as a new
exactly, I'm
jersey
excited for
next
that.
season.
But I think maybe we bust out the lucky jersey for like Messi, and maybe there's still a little magic in there.
Maybe we just need to like save it a little bit.
It's kind of like Finn Balor in wrestling when he for big matches he does like the demon,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like, okay, now he and then he's a totally different wrestler. So it's like, all right, maybe for the big match, big games, like we break it out.
Yeah.
But other than that, we're gonna wear other games. Again, what did you enjoy most about this year? Let's end on a positive note.
That for me, that's easy. I had so much fun just meeting so many people, getting to be, friends with so many people this season, getting to know people better and connecting. Like
It was fun.
Like it sounds cliche, all the friends we made along the way. No, for real though. I really
Absolutely.
enjoyed all the people we got to know and meet, and some people we've gotten to know from being at the tailgates or being at various games, whether they're home or being on away trips. And of course, on things like Twitter and through the podcast, it's just been wonderful. And we've got so many, we've had guests on. It's been great, and you know, it was awesome talking to people like Dave Leno.
It's been awesome talking to everybody.
And yeah, I mean, gosh, having Stu Finley on at the begin, right before the season started, and all of our various friends and acquaintances we've had on as guests. And no, it's been fantastic. I mean, I just look at the special bonds that we've made. It's been really special.
Yeah. So anyway, that's it for today's show. However, coming up, we got some potential guests coming up in some future episodes here.
Yes, even though the season is over, we still have content coming your way.
And probably in the next episode too, we're going to be doing season 2 of What If Union Edition. So if you're listening still, send us your what if, and I'll give you an example. Let's see. What if Andre Blake doesn't get injured and you're up 3 what was it? 2-2. We were up 2-1 in Montreal.
Yeah.
And we ended up losing 3-2. What if Andre Blake's still in that game?
Yeah.
Do the Union lose? So that's kind of the parameters. Like,
was that the one where Julian got the red card too?
Yeah, and Ua had to brace.
Yeah, that's right.
So what I'm saying is, come up with some season defining moments, both good and bad, and what if happened, the opposite happened. We'll have some fun with this. So until next time, this has been the One Team We Agree On.
Make sure to like and subscribe and follow our podcast and us on social media. Please reach out to us. We love hearing from you. And if you have ideas for future guests, or if you have questions for us, anything like that, please reach out. We love hearing from you.
And until next time, I'm Kyle.
I'm Jillian.
And we will see you at the game.